Hello, and welcome to Shane's Microscope. I'm Shane, and this is my microscope. Let's take a peek. Well, hello everybody. Things are a bit busy over here, so I'm gonna take a break from producing weekly videos, but don't worry, I am still on my microscope every day, checking on my little buddies, and loving every minute of it. I even got mentioned in the acknowledgements of a new paper on Epistylus by Wu et al. It's a very interesting paper with some potentially profound phylogenetic work, and here I am at the end. A passionate amateur microscopist. Couldn't have said it better myself. And with my buddy Bruce for help with literature translation. So that's a thing I'm doing just for my own edification, but it turns out some research have been wishing for translations themselves, and they're eager for this kind of thing. I'm also still helping people with identifications on iNaturalist, so if you don't know about that, or you forgot about it, please check out the site, link in the ding-dong. So we've got 100 episodes at this point, and I hope if you're interested in this subject, that maybe by now you have a taste of what you can do with even some pretty modest equipment. Even though I'm using a research microscope now, and I love it, everything up through Expedition 81 was made using a very affordable hobby scope and recorded on a cell phone, then just edited on free software. So it's not so out of reach as you might think. And I just wanted to take a moment here and tell you the things that I would look for in a first microscope, and also what I think doesn't matter, because of course, the advertising is intended to make you think that you need things you don't. Now let me first say that you can have a good experience on any microscope. And at the end of the day, any microscope is better than no microscope. But these are the things that I think will make a significant difference in the quality of that experience. First, start with a hobby-grade microscope, something in the few $100s or euros range. You don't even know if you're going to enjoy the hobby, so don't start with a big name brand. With a hobby scope, you'll be more comfortable taking things apart, cleaning them, modifying them, experimenting, etc. And at this price point, brand, and I put that in air quotes if you couldn't hear, doesn't matter, because there really aren't any brands. That's why these are often called stencil scopes. Companies buy them in bulk from Chinese factories and stencil their own name on them to sell them at a markup. Just how it is. Now, don't worry about the upgradability of this first scope. You don't need something that can be upgraded to phase contrast or whatever. By the time you've used the first scope for a while and you're ready to upgrade, you'll likely have a good feel for what it is you actually need in a scope. And in the meantime, a very affordable bright field microscope will be able to do 90% of that anyway. So let's work our way down the scope. Get a trinocular head. Looking through binoculars is way more comfortable than a monocular. And whether you get a dedicated camera or use your phone, you're going to want to take pictures, and you'll want to set that camera up on the photo tube without it being in your way. With a phone, just leave the phone holder on the photo tube permanently. Ultimately, if it's a pain to use, it's not going to be as fun, and the trinocular head just makes things so much easier. Now, as far as magnification is concerned, high magnification doesn't matter. On my research scope, I never even go above 400 times. It's just not needed for the things I observe. Related to the above, you only need to get 10x eyepieces. Some of these hobby brands will try to convince you to upgrade to a scope that includes 15 times or 20 times eyepieces so you get more magnification with the same objectives. But the 10x are just so much more comfortable to use that I never touch anything else except to remind myself how much I don't need it. You also don't need things like planar objectives, abbreviated plan objectives. They cost a lot more, there's very little benefit to it, so don't start with that. You'll want a mechanical stage. That's the kind where you can move the slide. It doesn't just have clips holding it down. The new rackless versions look neat, but there's no real benefit, so don't worry about them. I don't have one, and I don't miss it. You definitely want a condenser with a lens and a diaphragm. That's the thing underneath the stage that helps condense the light coming up towards the slide. Some of the toy models just have holes to simulate different condenser settings, but they usually lack a lens, and a real condenser will greatly improve your image quality. You definitely do not need to start with a microscope that has a field diaphragm for kolar illumination. I never bother with this for normal viewing, and it maybe improves the contrast of my images by a few percent when I take photos and video, but it's certainly not essential. And finally, down to the lamp, LED versus halogen doesn't really matter. There are advantages to each, but the differences are so minor it's not worth letting it be a decision point. And if you get one with a halogen light, you can just swap it for an LED bulb if you decide you want that. So, like I said, not worth being a decision point. Alright, I hope that was useful. I think it would be really great if you have an interest in microscopy to just give it a try. And I understand the desire to start out with a perfect scope, but until you have the practical knowledge, you're not going to know what the perfect scope is, because there is no such thing as the perfect scope. There's only the perfect scope for you and how you specifically are going to use it. So to set yourself up for success, you just need to get your hands on something affordable and start using it. So it's my hope that you'll take some of this advice to heart and try giving things a peek yourself.